Hey everybody, I'm Joe DeGanzik, and this is Smarter Home Life on this Halloween. I dressed up as an internet meme. Well, not exactly, but anyways, if you get it, you get it. If not, we'll just move on. But happy Halloween to you. I hope you got a safe, if you celebrated this past weekend or in a couple hours, you know, when time zones change over to October 31st. This is the Q&A for October. I've got some great questions, and we just hit 30,000 subscribers. There's the fireworks, there's all the excitement and all that stuff. I couldn't have done it without you hitting that subscribe button, and if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. I usually don't say that anymore. It was kind of like a year or two ago when I was at the end of every episode, please like this episode, and don't forget to hit subscribe, and call us now, or, you know, whatever, all those things that everyone says. I think it's redundant and silly. So for everyone who has naturally hit subscribe, thank you very much. You get the videos. I wish every single video was viewed at least 30,000 times, which they're not, but that's not the way it works, but that's okay. Thank you to the audience for making Smarter Home Life what it has become, and certainly at nearly 5 million views total and 30,000 subscribers here at the end of October 2018. It's come a long way. With that being said, let's jump right into the first question. We got 3 great questions on a few different things, and this one was recent. I think this was the most recent one that came in like yesterday or the day before. So even if you're at the end of the month, I'll probably get it in if it's applicable. Now this one I can't answer perfectly, but I can talk a little bit about this. So from Matthew, I really like the LIFX bulbs, but the connection issues can be really annoying to me. He's talking about, I should have one in my hand, but we know what we're talking about, the LIFX bulbs, LIFX Z strips, all the different LIFX products. These are Wi-Fi based, so they don't require a hub. They've been out for a number of years. Generally reliable, people like them, and they've got a pretty decent variety of products. It doesn't happen all too often, but compared to the Hue bulbs I swapped them out for, well, I'm just used to a little consistency. Would pairing the LIFX bulbs with a hub like SmartThings fix or help the issue at all? Or would getting a third-party router for a mesh system to boost my Wi-Fi be a better approach? Thanks for all the help and keep up the good work. Well, thank you for your kind words, Matthew. I use a kind of a combination of bulbs from LIFX, and they have had some issues with Wi-Fi over the years, but their firmware updates, which I swear they release every couple months, which they're always working on stuff, they've generally gotten better. But what I do run into, and I'm about to change this because I keep running into the issue and it has to be rebooted for it to kind of like catch up with itself and fix itself. Sometimes these LIFX products, when they receive low Wi-Fi signal or not really good consistent Wi-Fi signal, they tend to just quit. They don't always try to reconnect and say, hey, maybe I should restart myself, or I should restart the Wi-Fi system and redo everything. And I don't know why. This is a question really for LIFX to answer, and all the individual companies. I've heard of other, I can't even, I must have been answering a question. I've heard of some other people complaining about certain Wi-Fi based products that have a similar issue. When they run into a Wi-Fi issue, they don't restart, they don't reattempt to connect. You have to just manually turn them off and turn them back on again, which I think is silly. It's 2018, it's not 2015, it's not 2010. Manufacturers, get with it. I'm hoping that Matthew, I gave him some suggestions similar to those things in terms of, I guess really it's probably an issue of Wi-Fi, of poor Wi-Fi. He talked about mesh networking. I replied back to him, if you're watching, Matthew, I had replied saying, you know, depending on how large your home is, if it's 1,500 square feet or larger, you may want to look at a mesh Wi-Fi system, because generally a good Wi-Fi router, if it's relatively centrally located, it'll provide you about 1,300 to 1,500 square feet of coverage. And then it's time to look at a mesh networking. It also depends on the age of your home, the design. Do you have poured concrete walls? Do you have a lot of metal in the walls? Are your LIFX or other light bulbs or gadgets located within metal structures? The final question one of the final questions he had was, would pairing the LIFX products with SmartThings be helpful? And the answer is no, because they're still going to be on your Wi-Fi network. It's not going to help you if the communication issue isn't resolved, because they're on your Wi-Fi network, and SmartThings or Wink or any other hub is just going to command them, and the signal's going to have to get back to them, the individual bulbs anyways. So you have to solve that communications issue. So take a look at those things, appliances, all kinds of just things, anything that generates RF interference, and even just regular appliances, if they're in the way, and they're big appliances, washing machines, if just depending on your home's layout, you have to look at where these bulbs are. Maybe not all the bulbs are having the Wi-Fi issue, but you can go into the app. I'll probably put up a screen here. If you go into the LIFX app and you go into the individual bulbs, it'll show you the Wi-Fi signal strength of each product. So that can help you a little bit diagnose it. They do actually provide some reasonable tools, more so than something like Hue does, that I've seen. So check all that out. It's kind of a long explanation, but I want to get that through. And again, thank you for your kind words. Question number 2 comes in from, it's Michel, so I don't know if it's Michael or Mitchell or Michelle. I don't think it's Michelle. Anyway, so thank you for writing in. And he says, "Hi Joe, I'd like to, first of all, if I can, maybe I should start this over. First of all, I'd like you to know I enjoy your videos on YouTube tremendously and hope you keep going strong for many years to come." So do I, and thank you for your kind words. I have a few questions, so bear with me. I'm going to try to paraphrase this, but I'll probably read the whole thing. I may not put his entire question on the screen. I have a smart 4K Hisense TV and the Google Home, plus an original Chromecast on the TV with the CEC options. That's the control over HDMI, which I don't really understand. That's what he said in parentheses. Turned on. Besides being able to play YouTube videos, what, if at all possible, can I do besides turning the TV on or off and changing the volume with my voice? Is it possible to change the channels even with a set-top box? And if so, how do I go about doing so? Last thing, I live in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, and at times the weather can be very extreme or in summer and winter. Is it possible to get the feels like temperature instead of just the regular temperature? So the question on the Chromecast, the Chromecast is a streaming device, and pretty much that's it. In general, it does have the ability to basically let you turn the TV on, because the implementation of the CEC commands that go over an HDMI cable or an HDMI device, if it gets the right thing, it can turn the TV on, potentially even tune it or change the input to the active input that device is plugged into, and possibly also turn up the volume, turn down the volume. And I went over some of this stuff with the Amazon Fire TV Cube, or I like to call it the Echo Cube. But anyways, earlier this summer, so I'll probably reference that, a link to that video. But beyond that, you really can't do anything else in terms of with a Chromecast device. If you really want full AV control without, actually, it really is a really good, relatively low budget option, which is the Logitech Harmony, which has been out for several years. They continue to improve it. And it's pretty much the go-to device when you want to do more than just basic things like you can do over a Chromecast. Logitech Harmony will open up new options for you, letting you program in some automation or changing inputs. Obviously, the basic stuff, turning the device on or off and changing volume is helpful. And they do have some ability to go in and launch like Netflix, like certain apps. You can't necessarily request a title through a voice command, but you could integrate Logitech Harmony into your Google ecosystem. I guess it was Google Home, right? Pretty sure. So you could integrate it into there in terms of your routines and control it that way. So that would be, I think, probably a better option than Chromecast, although you could have it change to your, it probably wouldn't be helpful. The challenge really is, and I referenced the Fire TV Cube because what they do is let you, with an all-in-one device that can do pretty much anything, including voice control, you gain a lot more, because the problem is you have Google Home or Lady A or HomeKit, which doesn't interface to Logitech Harmony, if you've got one system that's dealing with your voice commands, you have to set up separate voice commands because all these systems are kind of siloed. Even though it sounds like, oh, you can connect everything and that's awesome, they're still really, really, really sandboxed. So you can create your commands and routines on Google Home, Google Assistant, and it could then control scenes or commands within Logitech Harmony, like turning things on or off, changing inputs, opening Netflix, or or whatever on whatever device you might have. The answer really is there's going to be a limited number of things that you can do with Chromecast and tied in with Google Assistant and having a Chromecast plugged into your TV, just because of the nature of the device. And there's going to be a limited number of things that you can do with Google Assistant tied in to, say, Logitech Harmony, because it's just going to be running pre-programmed scenes and commands. Logitech Harmony also ties into home automation, or you could tie all the different things into a routine through Google Home, because now with routines you could have something, you could dim the lights, you could turn the TV on, you could have it run a basically a scene or a sequence within Logitech Harmony. So there's multiple ways to do this. It really gets down to the question of what do you really want to get out of it, and then proceed from there. And I know I replied back on the weather thing. There's actually AccuWeather uses a real field temperature, and they do of course have an app integration with Google Assistant. There's a way to, I send them a link, and I'll put it in the show notes for anyone who wants that info. And that's the way to get the real field temperature, because at times, yeah, the real field temperature is kind of really what it feels like versus the actual exact temperature. So with all that being said, again, I'm just gonna say, Michael, thank you again for your kind words and writing in, and now it's time for a little house break. Okay, so this is the time of the monthly Q&As where I talk a little bit more about what's going on, and usually the Patreon family gets this information first, and then I give some of it out on these episodes, but not everything comes out publicly because, well, that's why we've got Patreon. And Patreon is just a great way to support the show. Smarter Home Life, I spend a lot of time on it. It is not supported by some cushy 9-to-5 desk job. I am an entrepreneur. I do multiple things. I do consulting. I do a lot of different things to kind of take care of things and keep the lights on. Patreon is one part of all of those different things. It lets you directly support the show and therefore directly support me, allowing me to continue creating these things and continue creating new things in life and online in general. So anyways, you can go to patreon.com/smarterhomelife, set a monthly budget, whatever you want to contribute. You get access to special features, behind the scenes stuff, and basically you're directly supporting the show. So we've got some great people on there who have been contributing for a long time, and I certainly appreciate it. We took a break earlier this year when the show kind of took a break, and then we came back in May, and it's been going strong ever since. So please join the family, and I will love you forever. Some things coming up, obviously. You guys asked for it. I polled you guys on YouTube to see if you wanted a review of this thing, the new Google Home Hub, appearing exclusively on this video. Actually, no, I will do a review of it. Hey, Google, what do you think about LIFX problems?
I never thought about it.
Yep, and she's really useless. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I'm sorry if that was not in focus. I'm really not sure how I feel about the device so far. The full review should be out in a couple days. I've only had it for a couple days, and it's okay. It's okay. It should be bigger. If you're shopping, obviously take a look at the links in all the videos, but of course the holiday gift guide. But when in doubt, if you want to support the show and you don't want to do Patreon, you don't want to contribute via PayPal, just do your shopping on Amazon. Use the product links found in the videos, or better yet, just bookmark or remember smarterhomelife.com/Amazon. That will forward you to the Amazon site. The affiliate code will be embedded, so you don't even have to think about it. Do your shopping right then and there. Check out, and Smarter Home Life gets the credit. Obviously, the holidays is where a lot of people do their shopping, and the affiliate revenue does go up. It really does help out the show. It really does help out the production. It helps me continue doing this and other things and keep the lights on. So I certainly appreciate it when you're thinking of doing your shopping for yourself or for others. Please use that link or the various product links. It makes a difference, and I certainly appreciate it. And now let's get on with the third and final question. And it's back to lighting. We covered LIFX, now we're gonna go to Philips Hue. So a question comes in from Bob. Hi Joe, your videos have been very helpful. I'm glad they have been. I will keep making more of them as long as I can. I recently upgraded my lights to Hue and enjoy them. I am struggling with one item, the motion sensor. Oh yes. I wanted to only turn on certain lights between certain times, which works. The issue I'm having is I want them to also turn off after a certain time. When I set it to do so, when night comes, it starts detecting motion. The lights don't come on because the times I set are in the middle of the night. This is, you know, the defaults that you can set with the Philips Hue Motion Sensor, as I covered in the somewhat hilarious motion sensor video about 2 years ago, are where you can set, by default, I think 2 different time ranges. One would be if it detects motion, do something like turn the lights on at a regular brightness, and then another one for kind of like overnight. If you detect motion, turn them on to like a very, very dim level and then turn them off. Both give you the option of like doing nothing at the end of it or turning them off. So he's saying that during the time that nothing happens, or nothing is supposed to happen because the sensor is kind of like shouldn't be doing anything. When I set it to do so, when night comes, it starts detecting motion. Lights don't come on because the times I set are the middle of the night, like the super dim level. But what does happen is that lights start turning off because it detected motion, and the setting says to wait 30 minutes and then turn the lights off. How do I get the motion sensor to only turn off lights during the time I have the motion sensor set to turn on the lights? As in basically the 2 different time ranges, it should be turning lights on if it detects motion and then doing something like turning them off after a set timeout period. It seems the motion to turn off cannot be specifically set within a time frame. Please help. And I wound up sending him 2 different emails. This was actually just a little while ago. A couple different emails, and I had a bunch of different thoughts. My initial thought was, is this a bug? Is this actually a problem? And I don't have the motion sensor anymore. Mainly because I don't use Philips Hue with their own accessories largely. But anyways, I was thinking, could this be a bug? Because if you have time ranges, let's just say in the evening from 6 to 9, or let's just say from 6 to midnight, if you go to bed at midnight, if you're a night owl like I am, from say 6 to midnight, the lights are supposed to come on at a certain time or a certain brightness, and then after say 30 minutes, they're supposed to turn off. Say that's within some part of your home. And then from midnight until 6 a.m., you have it set that if motion is detected, the lights should come on, but only to like 10%, and they should be blue, so you can see where you're going, but it doesn't blind you, and then a half an hour later, those turn off as well. So he's saying that outside of those time periods, or let's just say it was 6 to 10, not 6 to midnight. So I say 6 to 10 and midnight to 6 a.m. was the time ranges that he set up. So he's then saying from 10 to midnight, the sensor is being activated. Nothing is happening because nothing should be happening because that time range is not covered. The sensor shouldn't do anything. It shouldn't turn any lights on, which he says it does not. But then a half an hour after it shouldn't be turning any lights on, it turns lights off because it sensed motion and it didn't turn them on, but it turned them off anyways. I think it's kind of a bug, if that's truly what's happening. So I want to include this because A, motion sensing, dealing with motion sensors and lighting and anything is challenging. It's never a perfect situation. It just isn't. We all have different schedules and different scenarios and different times, and especially if you're dealing with multiple family members, forget it. If it's anything other than like a motion sensor in a closet like a walk-in closet to turn lights on and off automatically, That's a perfect example. For anything else, you really have to get really specialized. You have to really know your routines and get this stuff dialed in. So my other suggestions, of course, Hue Labs, which is an area that Hue tests out different functionality that they don't at first include in the Hue app. Now, I wish that Philips would actually make it easier to access this stuff from the app. I know that there is a way to get to it because I've seen it there and you can get to it from the app somehow. A lot of times you have to go to just a regular web browser and browse their formulas. I think they used to call them recipes, but their formulas. But they make it challenging, I think, because they don't want newbies dealing with it. But Philips, you got some great stuff. Just include it in the app already. I think the Philips Hue app, honestly, is not that great. So here's a couple of there's a bunch now. There only used to be a handful. Now there's like, I feel like there's like 20 or 25 different formulas within Hue Labs. And these are little experimental things. They allow you to add to the Philips Hue system. And so two of them, and I know I've recommended at least one or two of these before, specifically with the motion sensor. So one of them, you'll see in their little images, and they have little icons which represent required devices, like if you have to have the motion sensor, or if you have to have one of their wireless switch or dimmer devices, in addition to having some Hue lights to make this whole thing work, or make one of the formulas work. So one of them is no motion, no fuss. The other one is do not disturb my scene. Let me just read to you the description from, I just copied and pasted it from the page. So with no motion, no fuss, when no motion is detected for your chosen time, this formula will turn your lights back to their previous state instead of turning the lights off or doing nothing. When triggering the sensor, it turns on your chosen scene just like you're used to. Perfect for large open spaces to avoid dark spots. Now, this is during a chosen time period, so that's a problem because this is outside of his time period, okay? So do not disturb my scene is as follows. When the lights are off, it is a delight when your motion sensor turns on your lights as you approach. But when you're watching a movie or having already set up your lights, you don't want your motion sensor to override your settings, right? With this formula, your motion sensor will only trigger when all related lights are off. So when you already have set a scene and pass by the motion sensor, it remains undisturbed in your chosen scene. Now, I have a big problem with this because, as we all know, none of us really just use a scene and don't modify it. I mean, some of us, I guess, do, but this is very specific as it's read. So my concern would be, if a scene is turned on and maybe you adjusted it, if it's not exactly the scene settings, will this formula still work? Because I think this would work for Bob in terms of the issue. At least it could, because it won't disturb what's going. It'll be completely unrelated. However, it doesn't say anything about still turning lights off. That's the issue. There's another one, I forgot which one this is, what it's named, but you can look on the list there, and I gave him some various information. There's one more formula for the motion sensors for this situation that gives you an additional time range, a third time range, that you could set it to do something, probably maybe to not do anything. I don't know if that's an option. I think it's an option. You see how complicated this issue is? This is also why, and I've said it before and I'll say it again, I personally don't like this new paradigm of that everything has to go through an app and everything has to go through a formula. And if the formula isn't provided by the company who makes the products, that you're just stuck with it. So my hope is that one of these formulas is going to help Bob with his, or if you're watching it, if this is going to help with your issue, or if it's simply a bug, it needs to be reported to Hue to say, if the sensor detects something, don't do it. Actually, I'm trying to think. That his issue was, it is detecting something and it's activating, it's not doing anything, but then it's turning them off. It's turning his lights off during that time that is the open time period because it's not set. So this, Triggers when all the lights are off. The do not disturb my scene might work. It might work. I would say try it. And maybe try the third time window as well. And set it maybe to do nothing up on activation and nothing on timeout. See how hard this is to solve with these basic things? Philips has made some progress, and from most of the questions I've got over the years with these sensor issues, I've been able to resolve them. This one, I don't know. So fans of Smarter Home Life, viewers, I know there's like, there's a certain set of you that watch all of these Q&A videos. This is like the core audience. I wish it was like the 30,000 subscribers watched every single Q&A video. That'd be awesome. But anyways, can you help Bob out? Because I don't have the motion sensor to test with. And I know you're like, oh my God, why don't you have it? You're the smart home guy. But anyways, let Bob know in the comments. Let me know. Is this a bug? Is this what it should be doing? Is this a software update that needs to happen? What's going on here? Because I don't know. I don't have an exact answer. All I can provide is these ideas. So that's it. Do I have any more notes? No, I don't have any more notes. How do I end this thing? Happy Halloween. Have a great and safe Halloween. Eat some Halloween candy. Have a great time. And make your home smarter, of course, with they call it the season of lights. We've seen more and more with Halloween decorations, and everyone, like, I swear everyone just lights up their house for Halloween now at the start of October. So we've got lights going on. I don't know if there's Thanksgiving light up things for the front of houses now. Probably, I would assume so. So anyways, from now through when it's the dark periods when we've got the less daylight, of course, and longer nights, at least up here in the northern hemisphere. Certainly it is the season of light, and it's time to light up our homes and do all these awesome things and tie it in with your smart home stuff. So get out there and be creative and have fun with it. There's so many options these days with the smart lighting or just smart plugs, and automate your lights outside and inside. And I'll have some options and suggestions for that, of course, in the holiday gift guide. And that's it for this Q&A. Again, if you want to get your question on the show, as in like if I'm handing out tickets to like a studio audience, which I'm certainly not. But anyways, Q&As, smarterhomehelp.com, and if you've got something that you really need some help with, check the box for a consultation. I really love you doing those because I get to know your project a little bit better. I get to know you a little bit better. Get to chit chat. It's a good time. So that's it. Have a great couple days until the next video comes out. And I'm Joe Deganzik for Smarter Home Life. As always, thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for making 5 million views and 30,000 subscribers. And I'll see you next time.